Hello all, welcome to Tech Capture. Myself Vishal Bulbule, and in this video we are going to see how to prepare for Google Cloud Professional Security Engineer. So if you have done any of these Google Cloud certification before, that will be beneficial for you if you are going for a security engineer certification. So mostly it is said like it is a easy certification if you have done a network or architect level of certification before. Yes, I agree with that. So I recently cleared my security engineer certification. I also cleared cloud architect, data engineer, associate engineer, and network engineer as well. So I'm going to guide you on a very important topics for this exam. So it will be easy for you to prepare for this exam and clear this exam in a very first attempt. So I'll first cover what this exam will cover. So basically this security engineer certification exam covers these main points. So it's basically concerning about the data protection and network security on a cloud resources. So there are different topics covered for this exam, and these are the main topics. So I'll go on each topic one by end and how you can prepare and what kind of questions will be there on each topic. So first is identity and access management. Second is organizational structure and policies. So it will contain your folder, project structure, or your resource in your org or folder or project. So data protection and encryption. So in this we will cover like data loss prevention API, which is called as a DLP API, and your encryption techniques in GCP. For configure network security and defense, will cover your load balancer, your cloud armor, your web scanner API, and other techniques to detect anomalies in your network and protect your application from the cyber attacks. Then collecting and analyzing the Google Cloud log. So it will contains your logging sync, your different VPC flow logs, your firewall logs, and these questions related to this. And regulatory requirement and complaints is for your different kind of data requirement or like PII information protection. So it's mostly depend on a shared security model for a GCP. So now I'll go to each and every topic one by one, and I'll try to help you with the important questions and what you need to study mainly on these. So first is identity and access management. So in these questions will be based on the your access hierarchy. So what are the best practices for providing the roles permissions to the identities like a service account or a individual persons. So in this you have to work on cloud identity, then how you will sync your existing on premises active directory with a Google Cloud identity. So it will be questions from GCDS, that is Google Cloud Directory Sync, single sign on, that is SSO, service account management, then how you will create a service account and how you add restriction to create service account keys using existing, yeah, that I already covered. And best practices. So if you go to these best practices, it will be very helpful for you for this exam. So mostly questions will be on the best practices, how you will give access to individual as well as a service account. So these all points you should have at least overview. So what is a different access hierarchy? So I have already given a picture here. So you can provide access on organization level, a folder levels, or a project level, and a resource level. So that is the access hierarchy. What is cloud identity? How you create a cloud identity? What is IAP? Why we need IAP? So these all are basic things you should know. I don't say you have to know each and everything in this, but at least why these services are used. So that thing you should aware on this identity and access management topic. So I'll come back to this again. So I'll go to next topic. So in organization policy for security exam, this is a very important topic. So there will be questions on organization policy. What are the different kind of organization policy constraint? And these are few frequently asked organization policy, and I will assure you there will be 100% of chances that you will get questions on these five organization constraint. So out of these five I got questions on 3 to 4 of organization constraint, and these are most commonly used. So currently I'm working as a cloud architect, and these are the most common used organization policy constraint in any of the organization. So you should know that's why this organization constraint are required and when we can use this organization constraint. So these are very important for exam point of view, and if you go through all of these 5 constant, it will definitely gain you 4 to 5 correct questions. Now we'll go to next point. So data protection and encryption. Again, it is a very important topic. So DLP API, why we need a DLP API? So whenever we are storing any PII information, so we need to use a DLP API to detect. Suppose we are storing the payment information of a transaction. So if we are storing the credit card number, then we cannot store that complete 16-digit credit card number at a Google Cloud or any cloud. So we have to hide that first few characters or last few characters. So for that we need to use a DLP API either to inspect the sensitive information and then de-identify the sensitive information. So we have to know about this DLP API, how to inspect objects and data using the DLP API, and what is the different techniques used for DLP API. So there are different techniques used in DLP API like reduction, hashing, or other techniques also. So you have to read about, or you have to do a hands-on on these techniques of a DLP API. So there are two different kinds like reversible and irreversible de-identification techniques. So sometimes you just need to hide a sensitive information, and sometimes you have to hide sensitive information, and again you have to revert back that sensitive information at a other end. So this is called as a reversible. So there are few techniques which are used for a reversible de-identification, so you can re-identify the data at the other end. And then these on an encryption. So encryption has the three different kind type, like at rest encryption, when your data is stored at a particular location. Then in transit, when your data is traveling from one server to another server. And a transition like encryption in use, so whenever you are using your data in a process, how you can encrypt that data also. And the different techniques for encryption, so there are two techniques: customer supplied encryption, customer managed encryption. And there are few terminologies like external key manager, when we need to use external key manager, and HSM, that is hardware security model. So what is the feature of HSM? So for this I would say even the overview of this encryption technique will be sufficient, that you should know when you should use a customer supplied encryption key and when you should use a customer managed encryption key. So that overview or features should be enough. There will be a lot of question on this, when to use or use cases of using the customer supplied encryption key. So suppose if customer want to store their key outside of a Google Cloud or create their key outside of a Google Cloud, then we can go for external key manager or customer supplied encryption key. And if customer want to store key in KMS, then customer can use a customer managed encryption keys. So that is about a data protection and encryption. Again, a configuring network security and defense. So if you already passed a network engineer certification, this will be a cakewalk for you. So it will be very easy for you to understand, so how you can secure your network using firewall, using peering, what is hybrid connectivity, what are the different options in hybrid connectivity, that is interconnect, dedicated interconnect, or a partner interconnect, or a VPN. So that are the basic networking things you are aware if you have passed a cloud architect as well as a network engineer certification. But you, if you haven't passed any of this certification, I would suggest first go to this networking basis, and then you will. So first three things you should be know in very depth, like what is VPC, what is subnet, what is firewall, how you can use firewalls to protect your network, then what is peering, how we can make a VMs or a compute engine communicate with internal IP using VPC peering, when we can create a VPC peering, and when we need to create a VPN, what is the difference between that. So first 3 point, that till hybrid connectivity, I would say you should know in depth. And then this VPC service control, what is VPC service control, what is shared VPC. So that are small topic you should know, like when to use and why to use. So you won't get any like much time to study these two concepts. Even you can implement this even your a personal project if you have an organization node. So these are a very simple topics like VPC service control and shared VPC, so you can study and learn about these two. And again, this load balancer, DNSSEC, CloudNet, and Cloud Armor are very important for a security exam. So you will get most of the questions on Cloud Armor and CloudNet, and couple of questions on DNS security. So you will have to learn about two topics here. So one is DNS and another is DNSSEC. So how you can enable the DNSSEC, that is also you have to prepare. So that's all about configuring a network security. And one more important topic here is collecting and analyzing cloud logs. So logging is always important when you are concerning about a cloud security. So in cloud security, when you are discussing about the Google Cloud log, then questions will be on the like log sync. What are the different log sync, like aggregated sync? We can store log at org level, folder level, or project level. How we can enable the flow logs? What is the advantage of enabling flow lag? And how to troubleshoot a firewall issues using the enabling a firewall logs. Then packet mirroring, so this is again important. So this is a very small concept of packet mirroring. You can read in a 10 minutes, but there will be definitely questions on this packet mirroring, like couple of questions, 2 or 3 questions on the packet mirroring, that is used to detect anomalies in the network. And then audit log, data access log. So again, there will be question on these two. These are again very small topics, like when you can use audit log and which kind of log stored in audit log and which kind of log stored in data access log. So they will give you requirement. Okay, we have to just find out who had performed that particular application, which logs you will see. So you need to know you should go for data access log or you should go for audit log. And then security command center and web security scanner. So these are two services in a Google Cloud. So you can just go and check for these two services, or these services do and why these services are required. So again, this is very easy to understand for these two topics and not in-depth knowledge required for understanding these two topics. So this is just like a dashboard where it will display all anomalies or like all issues, security issues from your Google Cloud organization. Same for web security scanner. It is used to scan your vulnerabilities in your application. And for regulatory requirement and compliance, there will be a couple of questions, and that will be mostly on what is shared security shared responsibility model. So as per Google Cloud, so security is not only responsibility of the Google Cloud, so it is shared responsibility between the customer as well as Google Cloud, because Google won't know what is your regulatory requirement, what is your data requirement for your client or for your project. So both are equally responsible for maintaining the security of your Google Cloud organization or a project. Now these are the very important topic for the exam. Now some of you might say I almost covered all the topic and this is very difficult to go for this topic. And suppose if you have very limited time to prepare for this exam, or you just have to pass this exam and don't get a much time to study this exam, then I will suggest you few hot topics for this exam. So these are very hot topics for exam and it will cover almost a 70 to 80% of your syllabus. So these first four topics I mentioned in a green. So these four topics contains a 50% of your questions. So identity aware, and this is not only based on my experience. I have collected information from few of the other fellows also who already passed a security certification. So these four topics are mainly covered in security exam, and questions like half of the question based on IAP, identity aware proxy, when to use identity aware proxy, what, how you will access the internet if you have, or how you will how you will log in into your VM if your VM won't have external IP, and all questions related to IAP, how to use, when to use, and what are the different roles related to IAP. So you will get questions on this IAP concept and features. Then same for data loss prevention API. So there will be a lot of questions on DLP API. What is the different de-identification technique? What is reversible technique? How you will re-identify the data at other end? Which technique you will use? So the lot of questions will be on a DLP API, or also how you will automate the data classification using the DLP API. So questions will be that also, like Suppose you have to store data in a cloud storage bucket and you have to identify if it contains a sensitive data, then you have to either delete the file or you have to copy files to another location or move files to another location. So how you will do that? Using the data loss prevention API. And the organization policy, I already suggested you a 5 important policies. So these are very important, 5 important policy. Even if you go these 5 policy, you will mostly cover the questions related to organization policy. But just before, you should know what is organization policy and when you should implement organization policy. And encryption, so in encryption mostly covers on CSEC, that is customer supplied encryption key, CMAC, that is customer managed encryption key, and external key manager. So there will be question on scenario like, okay, that is the requirement of a client, then which kind of encryption you will use. Either you will go for a customer supplied encryption key or you go for a customer managed encryption key. So you should be aware on these encryption types and techniques. And then few questions on cloud armor, few will be on packet mirroring, GCDS, that is a Google Cloud Directory Sync. There will be question like 2 to 4 questions on CloudNet, and few questions will be on Web Security Scanner, Container Scanning API, and binary authorization. So I missed one point here, binary authorization, that is used for GKE security. So just make a note of that also. I missed to add that point here. So you should know about a binary authorization also. So these are the hot topics for this exam. So if you go and study for these topics mainly, and you can just have overview of other topics I mentioned in this slide, then I would say you can clear this exam. But yeah, these are the most hot topic for this exam, and you should have thorough understanding of these topics to pass this exam. And again, as I said, I believe in learning by doing. So it's always good to have hands-on before going to exam, and not just to mug up the sample questions and read the documentation. So that should be an additional hard work for you to just do a hands-on and prepare for this exam. So that's it for this exam. If you have any questions related to any concept of any of the cloud certification or any of the topic in Google Cloud, just let me know in comment section. I'll try to help you out. So thank you for watching this video. We'll see you again.